an incredible family and incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still one of my best friends.
Love it.
That's crazy.
Right? Stacey Johnson.
Yeah, that's dope. I love it.
We used to go to the clubs and her father Seville.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris sits down for an interview with All the Smoke podcast, which is hosted by Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, who are both former NBA players. And to be frank, this is going to be more of the same cringe responses we've come to expect from Kamala Harris. And you guys already know where we're going to start, which is the economy question. Watch.
Economy, small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January. So we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses.
Okay, let's go back to the question that he asked her. What is your economic plan for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and cannot pay for groceries or gas, things of that nature? This goes back to what we've been saying so many times. It just makes you wonder about what happened at that debate. Because at the debate, she answered the questions exactly what we would expect from a politician, right? But for some reason, when she has to sit down for interviews, even interviews that should be like a walk in the park for her, the confidence isn't there. The polished, memorized answers aren't really there, and the delivery isn't there. I mean, just do a comparison from the debate to this right now. I mean, it's not a comparison. I just, for the life of me, can't put my finger on why is that. Now, some people speculate that the only reason why she sounded as good as she did during the debate is because she got the questions ahead of time and she was allowed to memorize them, and they were going to ask the questions exactly the way that they gave it to her. So maybe. But even if we go with that, isn't she getting the questions ahead of time? I mean, didn't her team probably give these podcast hosts the questions ahead of time? So I just can't put my finger on it. If you guys think you know what it is, put your answer in the comment section. But listen, it's a very easy question to answer, okay? The reason why she can't answer it is because she doesn't have one for that. Because if she was to start talking about that, what would that mean? That would mean there's something wrong with what her and Joe Biden has done over the last 3.5 years as it pertains to the economy. For some reason, maybe her campaign has given her that advice is don't even go down that road. But the problem is for undecided voters, if you're not going to go down that road and acknowledge the damage that has been done and how you're going to fix that damage, then you're losing people with your answers every single time. So when you get into the opportunity economy conversation, why are you not talking about the cost of things? Interesting. But she's about to get into her opportunity economy now.
And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses and in particular through our community banks. Mm-hmm. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks because they're in the community and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants. Mm-hmm. And so part of my plan as president is to give small businesses, startups, a tax deduction of $50,000 to start up. Because right now the tax deduction is $5,000.
Can't do nothing with that.
That's exactly right. And see, the thing we know is that most of our small business, our entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, got a great idea, have incredible work ethic, but they weren't handed a bunch of money on a silver tray.
Right.
And they just need to get their foot in the door. So there is that. There is what I need to do and what we need to do around making housing and rent more affordable. Part of the problem there is we have a housing supply shortage. My plan includes giving tax incentives for home builders to build 3 million more homes by the end of my first term, to increase supply to bring down cost, and to increase home ownership, a $25,000 down payment assistance to first-time home buyers.
Okay, so from our entrepreneurs who watch my show, let's really exercise common sense here, okay? And let's be fair, okay? Let's just take her at her word that she knows exactly what she's talking about. And we were sitting at a table and we truly wanted to collaborate with her to help small businesses. Let me ask you a question. How does a tax deduction help you start your business right now? Can you explain that? How does a tax deduction help you start your business over the next 90 days? A tax deduction comes when? So that's not going to happen now. That happens after you've started your business. So if she's saying all this and people are not really understanding business or entrepreneurship, they would think what she's saying is like, oh my God, that is great. $50,000 tax deduction. That's amazing. And by the way, to be fair, all business owners will take any tax deduction that we can get. I'm not actually criticizing the idea of a tax deduction. I'm criticizing that she's placing that incentive in the wrong context, meaning her context is there's not a lot of people who have opportunities to start a small business, so I will give them a tax deduction to start a small business. But that doesn't make any sense because the tax deduction has nothing to do with me starting a small business. The tax deduction comes after I've started my small business. I'm making money or losing money, and then I have to report that to the IRS. And the second thing is about wanting to build more homes, right? And to make the cost of those homes affordable. Again, she's applying something in the wrong context. If we want to make homes more affordable and we want to have a bigger supply of homes, what should we do first? We need to drive down the cost of building a home. Giving tax incentives to home builders. Will that help? Yes, it will. But what would be a bigger help is the cost of lumber, the cost of labor, the cost of the insurance, right? All of those, the cost of permits, all of those things go into the cost right now. The tax incentive, again, comes when? After the fact. And the tax incentive isn't, hey, you built this amount of homes, here's more money in your pocket in the form of a check. It doesn't happen that way. It happens when I file my taxes as a home builder. Then the IRS says, okay, well, you are approved for this credit, so we're going to offset what you may owe us. Okay. And that's not always a guarantee because every home builder has a different tax situation. So in other words, if we want to build more homes, make it cheaper to build homes. And again, she can't do that because they've already ruined the economy with record inflation. So everything costs more money. All right, so if you're getting value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description, grab yourself a t-shirt or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, the first two clips I showed you was about the economy. Majority of the interview was more about conversation around her marriage with Doug. How do bills get passed? Of course, they had to ask her about what does it feel like to be attacked when it comes to your racial identity. There's a lot in there, but where I want to focus our attention when it comes to this next clip is what happened after Joe Biden dropped out of the race. I guess he gave her a call, and this is what she did after.
But it was a whole thing. I mean,
but I heard you did some cooking. You were trying to watch a movie and couldn't focus. Like, is that your nerve? That's what I want to hear.
Well, so want to know that part?
Give me that.
Look, from the time that the president called me and told me he wasn't running, I mean, it just like everything was in speedy motion. And I was not sleeping so well. And that one morning, I mean, I had, I don't know, a few hours sleep, and I like to sleep. I just got up, and so I just went out and got a pork roast and started marinating.
See, time to work. Get to your happy place.
And my family happened to be in town, so they were very happy about the whole situation. But I just got up and started, everybody's asleep, I just got up and started cooking.
Set your mind to ease.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple ways to take her response. One could be that there's nothing there. Okay, she's very empty. She's an airhead. When it comes to answering serious questions, that's not her strength whatsoever. And it becomes more of a cringe fest than it does a substance conversation, if that makes sense. That would be the first way. The second way, people may say, well, oh, that is so nice and great that, she wanted to cook and things of that nature. And you know what, that's fine. People can look at it that way. I'm not recording this video to attack her on a personal level and nitpick everything that's wrong with her personality, because obviously we all have flaws. I know that. But listen, you're running to be the commander in chief. Can you be a little bit more serious? Can you give me a substance response? Can you give me something more than just, oh, I just decided to cook a pork roast? I mean, come on. What are you doing? But hey, that's how I see it. That's my opinion. Okay, so some final points for you as I wrap up this video. Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Now, I used to sometimes watch their podcast, and I like some of the stories or people that they would bring on, usually other former NBA players. And I did watch Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson play. They were part of a different era of basketball, of course. And I'm not too sure if they truly believe in anything that Kamala Harris was saying during that show. If you look at their facial expressions, one could conclude that they obviously were just doing whatever they were told to do because they agreed to do the interview, and that a lot of the answers that she gave, they were kind of like, huh, okay. And some of the laughs were kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. So, that's the way that I see it. That's my perception. Maybe you see it differently, but I think this was a cringe fest. No question about it. Now, let me get back to what's more important to all of us, is the policy conversation. Again, if people would just truly listen to the words that she's using and the context that she's talking about, it does not pass the math test. Okay, a tax deduction does not work for a startup business. It has nothing to do with a startup business. Startup business needs cash right now, not a tax deduction right now. And the other thing that I told you guys already, she's not going to go down that path of talking about the cost of living, the cost of groceries, the cost of fuel. She's not going to talk about any of that, the cost of electricity, because of why? It's an indictment on what her and Joe Biden has failed at over the last 3.5 years. So she's going to focus on what she's going to do, which in a political strategy makes sense. Talk about what you're going to do, not what has happened. The problem, though, this election is about what happened, right? And a lot of people are not forgetting that. Why? Because it continues to happen to them every single day. So you can't just talk about what you're going to do because you were part of what's happened. And she hasn't addressed that yet. She hasn't taken any responsibility. She has zero empathy about what's taken place. If you just listen to her message, it's more about, hey, we need to turn the page. Okay, if we need to turn the page, that means we need to turn the page on you too. But of course, that doesn't register, just like turning the page on Joe Biden is never going to come out of her mouth. Turning the page on all these crazy policies, that's never going to come out of her mouth. It's all about, saying things that sound good to these voters, but in substance, but in actual policy, and then the actual implementation of it isn't really going to happen. So all in all, when she talks about an opportunity economy, she's focusing so much on small business that she's not even actually focusing on the middle class. And her thing when it comes to focusing on the middle class is, well, I'll just give them a child tax credit. Yeah, but not everybody has kids. What about the 18-year-old or the 21-year-old or the 25-year-old who has to get 3 jobs just to afford rent? What are you doing to address that, right? And so she's not talking about that. Now, if you were to hear Donald Trump, he's immediately going into, I'm going to slash energy prices in half within the next 12 months. I'm going to do no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. I mean, all of that does what? It saves people money right now. Not, hey, when you file your taxes 1 year later, then you'll get your credit or deduction. So there's a big difference in the strategy, of course. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think about this interview that she did? I think it's still a cringe fest in my opinion, but I'd like to hear what you have to think about it. Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.